So what's going on, guys? Welcome back to a brand new rebuild, and as you can see on the screen right now, we are going to be rebuilding Bournemouth. That is right, we're going to give ourselves 5 seasons and try and build the best Wonderkid team ever, because they've got some good players already, and I think, do you know what, in 5 years, maybe we can aim for an English trophy, the English Premier League, and if we're going to be a little bit cocky, maybe a European trophy. So let's get into it. If you do enjoy the rebuilds, be sure to leave a like and subscribe, and I will say again, you can get all my rebuild files and the tactic you see over on the Patreon in the link below. Let's get into it. We're going to learn a little bit about Bournemouth, see what we've sort of got to do in the first season. Let's get into it. So, this is going to be Bournemouth inside of Football Manager 2024. A 3-star reputation, a 3-star training facility side, 2.5-star youth facilities, and the youth recruitment is actually quite poor. Now, a lot of their young players already are at the club. A couple to mention would be Alex Scott and Zabrani, 2 Football Manager icons, which I'm pretty sure you would assign back home as well. Now, as a club, we go to the overview. They're not won too much. 1 Sky Bet Championship, 1 Sky Bet League 1, and 1 Bristol Street Motors Trophy. Now, today, the aim is to try and add at least 3 trophies over 5 seasons into that category. Now, of course, we are in the Premier League, so the first task is to stay up in the Premier League. And if we actually have a little glimpse at that, for example, by going to the competitions, going to the Premier League, we are going to be, I would imagine, predicted to go almost down 15th place. So, not too positive for me. I think we can actually finish in the top 12 in the first season. I think we've definitely got that in the locker, especially using this tactic. It's my old Eric Ten Hag one. I've got a new one coming out very shortly. But we're going to see what this one does and see if they can cook in a 4-2-3-1 system, which is more focused on shorter passing. Now, some of the players we've got in this team are actually really, really good. Now, for me, I really like Sensei. I think he's absolutely incredible, 26 years of age. He's very, very quick, to be fair, in terms of acceleration. The pace, not as good, but other than that, great tackling, just good everything for a centre-back. A really good, cheap option for those of you back home as well. Now, Zabrani is another fantastic player. You would have signed him back home, I would imagine. He is just absolutely incredible. Still very, very young, could improve a lot. He will be, for me, the key player of the back line for probably the entire rebuild. Now, going over to some other players, another one is Kirkes, a player who can be good. Sometimes he sort of stagnates partway through the season where he ends up being, to be honest, putting it bluntly, a championship player 2 or 3 seasons in. I'm going to do my best to prevent that from happening. Of course, we can go down and talk about the man I talked about in the intro. That is going to be Alex Scott, a player who, I'm going to be honest, in my opinion, I don't usually sign in Football Manager. I don't think he's that good. He never really develops that well. And I am going to focus a lot of the play around him and try and prove myself wrong, because I know he's a real Football Manager fan favourite, and hopefully I can make that sort of happen for me as well. Now, another player I'm a big fan of, because I'm a really big Leipzig fan, obviously previous man, that is going to be Tyler Adams. A decent player, still only 24 years of age, very good for this level of Premier League side. You've got Max Aarons, you've got you now. You've got so many real good players, Cliver and Solanke. Solanke probably one of the most underrated strikers in this game, because he's actually really, really solid. But I think the aim for the first season, of course, is to stay up. I think we can go above that and finish in the top 12. If you are playing back home, you'll have a grand total of £0 to spend, which is quite funny because, again, we spend £0, so it has no effect on me anyway. But let's get into the first season. We're going to aim high. The one thing I don't want to do is get in any European competitions in the first season. It's way too soon. We just about got our wish. I mean, we massively over-accomplished the 12th place, but we were 1 position off getting European football, which, to be honest, and I mean this hand on heart, I would not want that in the first season. It's way too soon. I wanted to finish in the top 12. We finished in 8th place, by the way, which is really, really good. And we had so many draws. If we can turn a few of them draws into wins, we would have easily been in that sort of top 7, top 6 debate. Now, I will say in terms of player stats, the only real standout is NATO. For first joint when it comes to clean sheets, which tells me we're actually really solid. 6th place when it comes to conceded, 3rd place when it comes to the clean sheets. Goals being scored, we are not going to be on there, so it does tell me maybe that is our weakness, getting the goals. In terms of the other competitions, we are going to win 1 trophy, the Friendly Cup, but, you know, do we really count it? Can you count the Friendly Cup? I'm going to, so we'll take that one. When it comes to the Carabao Cup, the 3rd round by Middlesbrough, and the FA Cup, we'll see exactly where that went wrong. We'll see where we got to. It's going to be a little bit of a guessing game now. Okay, we're going quite far back now, aren't we? There you go. A 2 to Derby, a 2-1 defeat in the 5th round, so quite disappointing, to be honest with you, but a very good promising finish when it comes to that Premier League table. Now, going to the squad, we are going to be looking at, that is very, very diabolical, actually. 16 goals for Solanke. I mean, Alex Scott with 11, No assists, which is really frustrating because he should be getting assists, I will be saying it. Overall, I'm going to be honest with you, I never sugarcoat things on this channel. I'm not here to lie to you. This is not a pretty season. Not a pretty season at all in terms of player stats. In terms of an overall result, I am really happy with an 8th place. But other than that, it's nothing to write home about at all. I mean, really, it is the average of the average, and I think we can see it here. 10th best, 6th best. Nothing to write home about. Our top assister with 7, Solanke 16 goals. It is an embarrassment, to be honest. Now, I will say, going to the finances, we have been given a budget of £47 million to take into the first, or the technical second transfer window. So let's get into the second transfer window. We've got a fair bit of money to spend. I think, realistically, I've got to use my head a little bit and sign some attackers. What I've done, a bit of an instalment signing. We are going to welcome in Savio. Now, if you've not used this guy, firstly, make me a promise. Leave a like on the video, but also go and pick up this guy in any of your saves because he is absolutely ridiculous. He is rapid. He's got fantastic dribbling. The only thing you could somewhat improve on him, in my opinion, is the finishing, which we are going to do individual player trading on. Now, this guy will get into the team. He's a Wonderkid. He's so good. £89,000 a week. And to be honest, 26 million, I'll say it, is a bargain. Vitor Roque, now this player is purely on loan. There is no option to buy. He will be way too expensive. But I just want to see what the side looks like when we have got a player who hopefully can score 25, 30 goals a season. And we couldn't really afford a striker because we have signed one more player, which you'll see very shortly. So we had to go with a loan. This guy was interested. It wasn't too bad. So I thought, do you know what? Let's get him in, but unfortunately, no guaranteed option of a purchase. Then we go to Archie Gray. Now, this guy obviously recently gone to Tottenham in real life, coming to Bournemouth in this save, and do you know what? Another Wonderkid. 2 Wonderkids in one window. A very well-balanced midfield player, incredibly versatile, can play deeper, can play centrally, can play tons of roles as well. English, great for the registration rules, and I will say he cost me 35 million. So not a bad window in my opinion. 3 real big additions, and the team now looks a little bit like this. Let's whack them in. So it is going to be Neto, Aarons, Zabrani, Sensei, Kirkes, Adams, Cook, Savio, Traore, Cliver, and Roque. Now, what's interesting is that Traore gets in over Alex Scott. Now, I did lock in Alex Scott last season, and I might do the same this season, but I'm not going to be harsh on someone like Hamed Traore, who is potentially the better player going forwards because he's playing really well. So, or potentially could play really well if he's being locked in. So let's go and have a little look. To start the season, I'm going to keep it fair. I'm going to contradict myself. I'm going to keep it fair. I'm not going to lock in Alex Scott. I'm going to see how Traore performs. If he does well, I'll keep it unlocked. If he's a little bit shaky, then I will bring in Alex Scott and we'll hopefully see the best out of him. But really, I want to start seeing top things. Same with Archie Gray. He needs to get game time as well. So we'll see what happens. We are, of course, playing in 5 competitions, which I don't call 4 competitions because we've won the Friendly Cup, the Premier Division, the Conference League, the FA Cup, and the Carabao Cup. And they are going to be predicting a finish of around about 16th. So, funny, what is this saying? Oh, we are in the Europe. Oh, it's just clocked. I've just clocked. We are in European football. I don't know how I didn't notice that in the first season. I do not know how I didn't notice it. That is my bad. Okay, yeah, we might be finished. Let's get into Season 2. That is an awful shock. Into the Europa Conference League final, a final I didn't even expect I was going to be in, and I will say, we were playing some liquid football. 1-0 in 77 minutes, a bit of a boring start to the game, but we are going to wrap this up and win a European trophy with Smith cutting it back into Adams. What a start. A big improvement in the Carabao Cup, getting all the way to the semi-finals, where unfortunately we do get a little bit battered by Tottenham. When it comes to the FA Cup, we clearly we've not learned how to play in that competition, as we are going to lose to West Ham, which isn't annoying, but it's just going out so early in that 4th round is a real kick in the teeth. What isn't a kick in the teeth is going to be a 3rd place finish in the Premier League in 2 seasons. Now that speaks one of 2 things: how good this tactic is, but also how good our signings are. And I will say, Vitor Roque, it's a very bittersweet ending because he's come in, he's won a European trophy with us, really helped us out there. He's got us to 3rd place in the Premier League, which is very close, I will say. 1 point, Manchester United could have sort of pushed us down a little bit, but overall an incredible time he's had at this club, but he is simply going to cost too much money, I can guarantee it. When it comes to Savio, 13 assists, sorry, for him, a really good season. And again, it's really bittersweet this, because Vitor Roque, I can already imagine if we go to his agent and we make an offer, we can actually probably see it here, they're going to want a fair bit of money for him. There you go. Release clause is going to be there. I'm not going to pay this, but even if I offered 57, Yeah, it's really unapproachable. It's not going to happen. That is an absolute bit of heartbreak. But if we go to the squad, we can see having someone of his caliber is really the key change here. 34 goals, 19 for Alex Scott, a good season, and 8 assists, 16 and 26 from Savio. Cliver turning up 11 and 15, 13 assists for Tyler Adams. This is looking a lot better now for a set of stats, but we've now got the set task of trying to actually buy someone like a Vitor Roque who can put up at least 30 goals. Now, I've not seen our budget. I am hoping we've at least got around 50 million. Let's go and have a little look. We've got 47 million, so very close to what I would have wanted, but there's so many areas we need to improve now. And, you know, we've got to replace a Vitor Roque. Now, looking at the stats, we can see here we were actually the third best at conceding, which means we were better at the defensive side compared to the goal scoring side, despite having these signings, but not by too much. So I think really the sensible thing here to do would be look at the team, which we are now going to go and do, look at the weaknesses. So for example, how is Kirkes getting on? He's a good Sky Bet Championship left back, so can we afford another left back? Maybe replace him. At some point we're going to need a younger goalkeeper. There's so many different question marks that can come into play. Let's get into the third transfer window with that budget of 47 million Great British pounds and see what we can do. First player joining on loan but also joining permanently is going to be Jarell Hato, coming in from Newcastle and previously of Ajax. Not been playing too well under the Newcastle system, but I will say I can save this guy. A great centre back, great left back, another wonder kid into the team. He's only on 52 grand a week and the loan is 8 million pounds, and I will say the fee for him to join permanently is not too bad either, which is why I'm willing to take a gamble. And a player we have brought in, and I'm going to show you the price tag first. It only cost me 10 million. Well, it's actually 35 after the add-ons, but a very, very strong left back in Valentin Barco. Again, not developing too well at Brighton. And you might be saying, Josh, hang on, you just brought in Hato. He can play left back. And yes, he can. But Hato can also play centre back, which I'm going to personally try and get him playing in. Barco at left back. That is another wonder kid into the team. And we are now building a team definitely for that future. And I will say, very low wage for a player of his calibre. Incredibly versatile. Yes, he is far from the complete package at left back, but when you've got the opportunity to sign him, you've got to get him. Keep on sort of bringing in these wonder kids. We are now going to bring in Adam Wharton from Crystal Palace on loan, joining permanently for £22 million next season. Again, the argument can be made not developing to the best of the best because these teams that they're coming from aren't exactly having great seasons. Very surprised no one's put a bid in for him when it comes to that price tag, but overall, I've used this guy in a few rebuilds before, so sorry if you don't like seeing the same people being brought in. I do try and switch it up rebuild to rebuild, but when this guy's available, looking this good, even not developing that well, you've got to bring him in. We've also got our dream of bringing in a younger goalkeeper, and again, it is a very, very upcoming goalkeeper. It is going to be Vart Verbruggen coming in from Brighton, poaching a few Brighton players, and I will say again, you are going to pay a fair bit of money, £35 million to be exact. Again, obviously not done all up front, but this goalkeeper is definitely one for the future. He's 22, which is so young for a goalkeeper. We are on about a goalkeeper who literally could comfortably play for another 12 years. So £35 million, only on 48 grand a week. It's a good investment. And we're also going to pick up Oscar. Now, this guy comes in on the free, as you can see. That didn't mean to rhyme, but we'll take it. He doesn't look necessarily fantastic, but he reminds me of a Juan Mata, someone who's not very quick on the, like, in terms of acceleration and pace, but makes up for it with decent sort of first touch. He's got decent sort of long shots, technique, flair. He's a very flair-based player, you know. He's not going to run in behind, but he's got the passing on him. He's got good technique. He's a player to receive the ball, turn, ping it, etc, etc, and when he's on that wage as well, he's definitely worth adding into the mix. But this does mean the team looks a little bit like this now. So what I've done is I've just shown you what my plans are in terms of locking in players. That is going to be Verbruggen, Hato, Barco, Wharton, Gray, Scott and Savio. We are literally building a wonder kid team, and you can carry that on by putting in Zabrani at right centre back if you wanted to, but that is going to be the team that is going to be locked in. But what I'm going to show you is what they think is the best 11, and that is going to be this. So Alex Scott, we wave goodbye to him, as it is now going to be Neto, Aaron, Zabrani, Sensei, Kirkes, Gray, Adams, Savio, Traore, Cliver and Solanke. So a lot of the new boys not even getting in by the best 11, which is why I am going to lock them in. Now, I will say going into that third season, we are playing in 4 competitions, one of course being the Champions League. Now, we are nowhere near ready enough to compete in the Champions League, so I am not going to have one bit of annoyance. I'm not going to be upset. Whatever we do in the Champions League, even if we don't get out of the groups, I am not going to care. It's going to be a very brief rundown of that competition because we are overperforming to the absolute max. I mean, not being funny, we've already added trophies into this, which is absolutely mental considering we are now going into only what is going to be our third season. Let's get into it. Carabao Cup final, that is right, we are actually performing in English trophies to the point where we get to a final where unfortunately Marcus Rashford makes it 1-0 in 43 minutes. They go through again in the 68th minute for Anthony inside to Marcus Rashford to make it 2-0 in 69 minutes on the clock, and they wrap up the final in 3-0 fashion with Mason Mount turning into prime Messi. The Champions League, we actually overperformed to an oblivion as we nearly get to the final with this team by 1 goal we missed this on against Man City. That is a very strong start. A big improvement in the FA Cup where Manchester United again knock us out of an English competition, but overall a Champions League semi-final, an FA Cup semi-final, and of course a final. Yes, we have not won any of them, but I will say the Premier League does look like this. Another third place finish, so again another Champions League season, and I will say, looking at it quickly as a whole, Champions League football, third place, semi-final Champions League, semi-final the FA Cup, and runners-up in the Carabao Cup, that is still a very, very, very strong season. Now, clearly, what we're missing is the Vitor Roque role, and I will say with Savio, 15 assists, he is still doing his job, because we weren't really able to bring in a striker of the same calibre, that is clearly where we are missing out, and that is obvious to me now. Now, going over to the squad, we are going to have a player who did score 39 goals, so I will say he didn't do it in the Prem, obviously he wasn't even in the top 3 goal scorers, but in the other competitions, he was scoring the goals, but I just don't think he is a 30-goal season striker in the Premier League. So we're going to have to work on that. Alex Scott again seems to be a goal scorer, not an assister, which is very interesting, very unique, considering his job is to playmake as a advanced playmaker. Archie Gray, 18 goals, 10 assists, a great season. Savio, 16 and 26, never let me down. Cliver, 14 and 12 as well. We've also got 13 assists here from Luis Sinistera. We've got 10 coming in from Valentin Barco, 9 coming in from Tyler Adams as well. It's a good contribution and it is a very, very good season. But it always hurts a little bit when you get into 3, well, not 3 finals, but 3 sort of stages, semi-final pluses when you're not winning 1 trophy. But that's why we've got to improve the team. And to improve the team, we have been given a budget of £77 million, which we can definitely work with, to be honest. We can easily go in and bring some players in with that. And I will say, we're going to filter by the best 11 again and look if anyone's changed the position. And Hato's right in there now, to be fair. Wharton is, Savio is, Scott isn't. We need to seriously start having a conversation about him. Where is he? He's a decent Premier Division player, but is he a player we wouldn't sell? I'd sell him. I would sell him if the right offer comes in. I'm going to be honest with you guys. I'm not going to lie. If a good offer comes in, he is going to be leaving. But let's get into that 4th transfer window and go and spend our 77 million big ones and hopefully improve the team. I will want to say at this point in the video, if you are enjoying yourselves, we put a ton of effort into this channel. Be sure to leave a like and subscribe. It is completely free, and turn on that notification bell. I don't know why I'm looking up there literally, but let's get in to the 4th transfer window. We've decided to bring in another Wonderkid. That is going to be Yankuba Minte, coming in from Newcastle and previously a Feyenoord. A player again who the only weakness in his game is his finishing. Again, we can work on that and really train in one-to-one basis and improve on that. He's a good Premier Division player and also could improve, but what he offers is absolute pace in behind. He is rapid, he's got fantastic dribbling, good technique, decent passing, good off the ball work. Again, 21 years of age. He only cost me £25 million. You can't go wrong. Probably one of the most hyped up right backs when he was getting game time at Liverpool until obviously Trent come back. Connor Bradley. Now, I've never signed this guy. If I have, please correct me. I don't think I have in a rebuild, and I wanted to sign him. He looks really good. He's rapid, decent tackling, but again, we can improve on that as well. Good balance, good stamina. The strength is a little concern, but at the end of the day, you can outdo people with pace on this game, so that's the overall mindset of that. He's on a fair whack per week, and he did cost me a fair whack of £41 million, but that is what you pay for a player who is, you know, been in the Premier League or over in England for pretty much his entire career. And lastly, we have got our man who hopefully can contribute a lot like Vitor Roque, Karim Konate, and it was an instalment signing, a signing that, to be honest, I probably shouldn't have done this season in terms of finances, but we just about managed to get it through the board, and he did cost me £50 million, but when you look at him, there's not a weakness. I mean, acceleration 17, agility 16, pace 16, determination 17, finishing 15, composure 14, 22 years of age. He still could improve a little bit. He's still trainable. I'm happy to pay the bucks for him because that is a player for the future and a player that can also do it now. We're also going to bring in Edon. Now, this player does come in on the free. The next free signings you're going to see are on the free, all free, complete freebies, a lot of free going on. 15 acceleration, 16 pace, 16 dribbling, 13 finishing, and the thought process behind this was basically because we've got a load of young wingers in the team, and I don't want to be in a situation where they're forced to play every single game, and maybe there is the game where we need someone who's a little bit more established, for example, a big final, for example, like a Champions League. Turning to somebody like this who is better at this moment could be a good option. Who I love to pick up, and I even love him more when you do pick him up on the free, is a player valued at £42 million. That is going to be Salih Özcan, coming in from Borussia Dortmund. Again, if you play Football Manager this year, you probably tried to get this guy on the free, because why on earth wouldn't you? He looks incredibly well-rounded, very versatile as well, can even play centre-back if you need him to. He'll do anything for the badge, so welcome in to Özcan. It's a bold one. It's a bold one, and this is the issue with me, because I see big names and I see them on the free and I can't resist. Now, I will say, and I'm going to get this out here before I see the comments, I'm going to try and bring in Memphis for one season, see what he can do. If he's not good, I'm going to offload him and make a profit on him. That is purely the only reason he's at the club. I will say it, I know it's Memphis, he's not exactly a star player anymore, but he's still got aura. He's still got aura. You need to try and... I couldn't refuse. I simply couldn't refuse. And now the team is going to look like this. So again, this is the team that I potentially will be locking in. Scott is on very thin ice with me. Very thin ice. But if we actually filter by the best 11, the team looks like this. So it is going to be Verbruggen, Bradley, Zabrani, Sensei, Hato, Wharton, Özcan, Traore, Savio, Kanate, and this new man, obviously Edon. Now I will say, this team is very good on paper. Kanate, I am possibly going to will change to an advanced sword, I think, for the upcoming season. But realistically, that team for me, we're talking Premier League winning territory now. With the players on the bench, the youngsters we've got, the formation, the tactic, the style, I think we can potentially win a Premier League title. I will say we are playing in 4 competitions, and they are predicting a finish of around about 10th place. But of course, we've got to manage the Champions League, the FA Cup, and the Carabao Cup. Let's get into the 4th season. I'm going to be honest, I want one of the English Cups. Just like that, you ask, you will receive the FA Cup final against Birmingham. So an interesting final. Kanate makes it 1-0 very early on. And I will say, if you've never seen a collapse with a team, how about this? 89 minutes played on the clock now, right? 89 minutes. So we're 1-0 up at this point. Now 2-0 coming in from Christie. We then go again, literally 2 minutes after, with Philip, who's going to drive through everybody into Traore, who levers it into the top right in the 91st, and they let us score one more to wrap up this final 4-0, Savio into Kanate. Carabao Cup is going to be another semi-final exit, this time against Man City, and again by 1 goal. Looking pretty ugly in the Champions League. We have gone from a semi-final all the way down to a 3-0 defeat in the knock-off playoff rounds, but I will say, we are 2nd place in the Premier League. Now that is as close as you're going to get to winning it, literally. We were obviously a few points away, 11 points to be exact. Kanate, 2nd top goal scorer. Savio, 3rd top goal scorer. The most clean sheets out of anybody. It is a really strong season, and I do think now, with a few more signings, we can actually win the Premier League, and I genuinely mean that, because we're doing it to a very high level. Now, what I will say, going to the goals, Kanate's come in and done exactly what I need him to be doing. He is scoring 30 plus goals a season, doing it in the Premier League as we saw as well. 18 goals for Savio, Minteb with 10, Archie Gray with 10, 9 for João Hato, which is a lot for a left-back / centre-back. Now, what I will say as well, the assists are coming in. Connor Bradley, a decent entry season, nothing too special really. 11 for Wharton, Barco with 12, 15 for Minter, Savio again with 19. And when you're having a contribution sort of range like that in assists and goals being scored, that's why you can go and have seasons like this. A 2nd place finish, winners in the FA Cup, good performance kind of in the Carabao Cup. The only real disappointment is going to be that Champions League, but again, we're not expected to win it. Now, going into what is going to... Well, time flies. The last season, the 5th transfer window, we have been given a budget of 69 million, more than that, 80 million pounds to go and spend. Now, I will say, the team is far from perfect, and this guy, Alex Scott, might be getting the boot if we can get... In fact, did that just say what I thought it said? He's a leading Sky Bet Championship player. He's playing a lot of games. The guy's going downhill. His time potentially is up at the club. We've given him 4 seasons. He's nothing special. Let's go and see what we can do. You can probably see some tactical changes as well that I have made. Let's go through into the 5th season now, spend our money, hopefully get at least 30 million for Alex Scott, which would then give us 110 million because we've got 100% of the budget available to us. Let's go and do it. So we are going to wave goodbye to Alex Scott. He is going to go over to Leicester City, and we actually managed to raise £39 million. So we turned a profit from what we paid for Bristol City as well. Honestly, I'm happy to see the back of him. He didn't exactly cook, did he? But as I did promise, we are going to cash in and raise 4.3 million for Memphis Depay. I think his career is finished. Player I would have kept around, but he purely was not happy, probably because of the Canate signing. He is going to go to Schalke, which I think is going to cook in for £7.5 million. It's a big loss. I wouldn't have personally wanted him to go, but he wouldn't sign a contract and the board pushed him out. Gone striker crazy. We now have got Karim Canate and Julian Alvarez, who was developed into an absolute animal, by the way, an absolute beast in the game, a very well-rounded player, can play on the left, through the middle, on the right, and of course most comfortably up top. Him and Canate can rotate and be an absolute force. £45 million, but welcome in Julian. A bit of a cheaper signer now, that is going to be Leo Ostergaard, coming in from Inter Milan. He is quite a basic centre-back, but I say that now looking at him, apart from the dribbling side of his game and on the ball work, apart from that, he's got good aggression, he's got good bravery, fantastic strength, good pace kind of, good fitness, good tackling, good work rate. For a grand total of £8 million, I'm not going to complain. Also, I'm going to pick up Thomas Araujo, coming in from FC Bayern. This is going to be our lead centre-back, our real go-to player. He's on loan for this season, but is joining permanently. So if you are going to pick up that rebuild file over on the Patreon, you are going to have this player in your roster. So do not worry. He's incredibly good. Good acceleration, good pace. He's probably, compared to the last centre-back I show you, where he lacks some things, this guy might not have as many standout stats, but is a little bit more well-rounded across everything. And lastly, it's instalment daily in full force. We are going to bring in Javi Guerreiro, coming in from Valencia, completing the carried on Wonderkid theme in this team, and he cost me £69 million. Now this guy just looks nuts. He's very well rounded at the age of 24. He's close to his full potential, but even if he was not to improve, even by that much, he is still going to be in this team without a shadow of a doubt. He looks absolutely incredible, and the team now looks a little bit like this. So let's go through and filter it by the best 11, and it is going to consist of Verbruggen, Bradley, Araujo, Sensei, Hato, Gray, Ozcan. We've got, I'm surprised he's still in here actually, Eden on the right, Savio, Guerreiro and Alvarez up front, with the bench now having the likes of obviously Ostergaard. We've got Minte, Canate, Zabrani, Adams, Oscar, Sinistera. We've got Cliver, we've got Max Aarons, Hamad Traore, we've got Valentin Barco, Adam Wharton, Kirkes. Come on, I mean, we have built an absolute powerhouse of a team here. This team should should win the Premier League quite comfortably. There's some real top talent on here, some good youngsters, mixture of experience as well, which is someone like Ozcan coming in is a real good bonus for that, because he has got that experience in the locker. We are playing in a lot of competitions. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 competitions, a lot of stress, a lot of stuff to do, and they are going to be predicting a finish of around about 9th place. Let's get into the last season. I'm going to be honest, I'm expecting a Premier League title. I really want one. Let's see if we can make it happen. I'm going to start off with that FA Cup final, and we get a little bit lucky here against Tottenham. It is an own goal from Romero inside of 15 minutes, and we actually are very good from set pieces this season, with Javi Guerreiro making it 2-0. Tottenham do bounce back very late on, but it meant nothing. Trophy won. Also do win the Community Shield this season against Man City 3-1. Is this a sign of things to come? We're also going to lift the Friendly Cup against Getafe. If there's a team to do it against, then it's a team like them. I think we could easily smash them, and we did. Carabao Cup semi-final curse is never going to leave us, I don't think, as we get beaten by Arsenal this time. I do think we can be beating them quite easy. And we are not going to win the Champions League in this video, unfortunately, so that will probably be your challenge at the end of the video. I always like setting you guys really fun challenges at the end so you can take this rebuild file and have a little bit of fun yourself. When the game's a little bit dead this time of year, hopefully my challenges spice it up a little bit for you. But let's go through and see exactly the Premier League first place. That is what I like to see. A first place finish, 5 points lead, so very close. Alvarez with 22 goals. We've got Javi Guerreiro, 3rd place with the average rating, and Julian Alvarez also picking up the 2nd most amount of assists. So we have finally done it. That is technically going to be, it's a very out there claim, it's a quadruple winning season. The Premier Division, the Friendly Cup, the FA Cup and the Community Shield. If we scrap the Friendly Cup, it still is a treble winning season, and I would imagine, yeah, This is why. So Julian Alvarez, 36 goals, Javi Guerrero with 28, 13 for Edon, Savio coming in with 12, 9 for Hato, Minter with 8, 8 for Lewis Cook. Karim Kanate not enjoying a great season, but if you are carrying on this rebuild, I would highly advise do rotate them, because clearly I didn't lock in one of the players and Alvarez dominated all the games. Kanate needs to be used as well. 18, 18, 16, 16, 15, a ridiculous amount of assists. Lewis Cook having a great last season, by the way, I will say. He might actually be going. Yeah, he's leaving on the free, so a great send-off for him. A really, really strong performance. And if you are carrying on back home, you've got a budget of £102 million, fair play, and I don't actually think, yeah, the debts and loans are looking pretty nice as well. So we have really turned around this club. We've left you with so many more trophies. A Premier League, 2 FA Cups, a Conference League, Community Shield, all of this going on. We've left you with probably one of the best Wonderkid teams you can look at if you were to go through everyone. A very, very strong rebuild performance from me today. And again, if you have enjoyed, please do leave a like on the video and subscribe, and keep the comments coming below what you want to see. As you can see, we are working our way through the requests, so if you comment, it will happen. I do promise, unless it's something ridiculous like rebuild Man City with £5 billion, probably not worth doing. But be sure to get your comments in. If you do want to obviously get the rebuild file and the tactic we used today, you can do so by joining the Patreon and joining the other 4,600 people, where you also get an extra 11 perks to the 2 I've just mentioned. And I will say the challenge for today is going to be for you to win the Champions League. It's quite simple. I couldn't do it. Can you do it? I don't think you can. Prove me wrong. I'll see you in the next one.